Rusty Pickups are a four-piece ensemble from Queensland's Darling Downs who released the EP Rattle in My Heart last year. Earlier this year, they played quite a few shows at the Tamworth Country Music Festival, and they've since released two singles, Goddamn Sunday and Mr. Mary Read. Michael Cook is here to talk about it. He may be accompanied audibly by some animals.
Yes, we were just visiting one of my kids' friends' families and got back in time, but they spied me running from the house to the studio here, and I entered the room to the braying of donkeys, the bleating of sheep, and I don't know the rather scarily human-esque noise that comes out of goats. I don't know how to describe it yet, but they do. They just sound like a very disgruntled human sometimes, and it's like that could be a bit off-putting to have in the background.
Are the goats a new addition?
They are actually. Yeah, that was I'd been away a bit. We had our I was away for work from home, and then got back just in time. We had our tour to Sydney, our first tour down there, which was wonderful. And then I got back, and I actually had to have some minor surgery done. And we just finished that. My wife said, "Look, this animal thing's getting a bit much. Like I'm having to do too much, and this wasn't what it was supposed." And I was like, "No, you bang on. You're right. This is supposed to be a me thing, and we need to rebalance things and make sure that we don't get too excited." However, there are 4 goats turning up tomorrow, so I need to help you build a fence. Luckily, she loves the goats. I within a week, she'd sent me video footage of her reading poetry to the goats with a cup of tea. So that was one of the long shots that paid off, I think.
Well, I'm wondering if the goats can possibly help with the other management, because they eat a lot. They'll eat anything. They do. So,
And yet they're as far as what you need to feed them for them to be happy and healthy, they're definitely the most cost-effective animal on the farm, that's for sure. They're dangerously close to not being a financial burden, which every other animal here is not pulling its weight. Let me give you the scoop.
Well, there you go. So therefore your wife can't object to the goats at all.
It's just a series of pets, of which one is costing less than the rest. It sounds like something I should write down. The one pet that costs less than the rest. That's a song lyric waiting to happen.
It's like they almost negatively geared the goats.
Well, that's it. And if we can get Albo to take care of that as well, then we'll be all sorted.
So now, have the goats ever, or any of the animals ever appeared in your songs? Have they turned up as a chorus or something like that?
We did. We put the donkeys were on the cover of the Rattling My Heart EP. That was said Pearl and Opal. But no, yes, animals seem to be making a bit of a theme. We're what you can sort of see behind me. This is our studio that we built down at Murphy's Creek, which was then named Possum Studios on account of the fact that there is that's on my jobs list on the wall here. Studio work number 1 is possum proofing, because there has been a possum move in there, and it's got to go. But I knew that it was having a baby, so we're just waiting for that situation to resolve itself, and then I'll have to take all that insulation out and move it on to a new home. So that was the birth of Possum Studios. And when we recorded the new tracks here, which was so much fun, like it was really great just to be out here in the middle of nowhere and sort of have your own time frame, and you're not working on other people's, when you finish, you can leave it in a mess and come back tomorrow. But when we were doing vocals, there was a case of going, so we're ready and we're doing this. We're right. Okay, great. 1 second. And then you'd have to tear over, throw a biscuit of hay over to the donkeys and the sheep and just shut them up for a bit and then tear back again. But I think we got through it all sans any animals. The only ones that we did have to move on was there was a crow parked up outside that had a couple of rocks thrown at it until it moved on. And I love birds. I love my birds, but it's not the most romantic of bird sound to have in the background. That it's almost, we call it a North Queensland laugh, that ha ha. And it's like, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that in my track.
Well, particularly if Goddamn Sunday was the song you were recording at the time, that's got some space in it, that song. You don't really want, the crow coming in.
Just that hideous noise that comes at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning when you still haven't woken up to yourself and gone to bed. Yeah, I know that laugh well.
It's the neighborhood crow. So given that you have your own studio, and as you said, you can leave things and come back to them the next day, but do you then get tempted to do like 15 vocal takes because you can?
It was fun. Look, we're really lucky in the band to have the 4 of us that we each have sort of roles that we're good at. We were talking about it the other day. We played at the Gas up near Maryborough with Hillbilly Goats and Andrea Kerwin and Carlos Williams and a heap of wonderful bands. And we realised on the drive home that we were the only guys that had jobs. and that everyone else was, they're all professional musicians, and we all had to go home because we had work in the morning. And I was like, wow, like, if only we'd been doing this when we were 20. And I was like, you know what, if we were doing this when we were 20, none of us, well, we would all have been 20-year-old idiots for a start. And none of us would have had the little individual life experiences and skills that we've got, which meant we probably would have had to pay someone to do that, and we would have had to have jobs to pay them because you're not making money from music. So really, we're probably not in that different a situation, except we're not idiots. So maybe we're in front. And in that, Lee does amazing work with mixing. He loves to cut and paste and find the right little tiny pieces. And Aiden, our double bass player, is just a wonderful producer. He knows how to find the right stuff, and he knows when you need to do another one and when you don't. And so if you're as useless in that regard as I am, it's quite easy just to go, you just tell me what I need to do, and when you say stop, I'll stop. So it actually works pretty well.